on August 19th, 2025 at 7:05 p.m. Please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Some quick ground rules. Note the fire exits. In emergency, quickly walk, do not run, do not use the elevators. The restrooms are to the right, to my right in the hallway. The agenda is on the table. We'll follow the agenda as closely as possible. For public input period, the town code allows some repeat. However, because I assume that most people are here for short-term rentals, and we've been at this process now for 3 years, we're going to limit all public comments to 3 minutes only. No repeat comments. So while you're there, make sure you have your comments that can fit into a three-minute period. When you come to speak, step up to the lectern, state your name and the address where you live, not the address where your Airbnb may be from. It's the address where you live. Each speaker, or your short-term rental is from, excuse me. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Madam Clerk will keep the time. No personal attacks are allowed. Speak to the chair only and not to each other or any other board member. Address all questions and comments to the chair. Speakers must be respectful at all times. And from time to time, we have presentations, and those presentations are not with time limit. It's to teach us or the public or get information that we may need to make decisions for you. Madam Clerk, with that, please read the roll.
Supervisor Evans.
Here.
Councilwoman Cunningham.
Here.
Councilman Malone.
Present.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Weiner.
Here.
Attorney for the town.
Here.
Just a couple of quick comments. We have a lot to do tonight. Thanks for everyone who attended the back-to-school event. I'm pretty sure we'll hear more about that later. And also, tomorrow we have an older adult expo, formerly called the Senior Expo at the Recreation Center from 9 to 12. And thanks Gloria Hunter and the whole team who pulled that together. Madam Clerk, it appears that we have 3 public hearings scheduled tonight, beginning at 7:35. And with that, we have 1 proclamation, and I invite the town board to come off the dais for the presentation. Chief of Staff, will you present, please?
We have representatives from the Resurrection Lutheran Church. So we're going to stand up over here. So first, we're sorry that Pastor Andrew Guggen couldn't be here this evening. He wasn't feeling well. In the life of a community, there are milestones that mark not only the passage of time, but the depth of our shared journey. For 100 years, Resurrection Lutheran Church has been more than brick and mortar. It has been a refuge in storms, a cradle for faith, a beacon for those seeking light in the darkness. Its doors have opened to generations, the hopeful and the hurting, the strong and the weary, the young searching for purpose, and the elders carrying wisdom. It has stood as witness to the joys and trials of Irondequoit, shaping not only the hearts of its members, but the very spirit of our town. It has reminded us that true greatness is not measured by wealth or power, but by the quiet, steadfast acts of service done in love for God and neighbor. Today we gather to honor not just a building or a date on the calendar, but a living legacy, a century of faith in action. Thank you.
Those are not the words on the proclamation. It's pretty long. It's a lot of history. Tim, I recommend that you meet with the church, and thanks very much for everything. Great picnic.
Yeah, thank you for attending.
Thank you very much. as the town board have a seat, I'm always amazed at the history of our town, and thanks for helping capture that, Ms. Houston. Thank you. And we have no other presentations for tonight. This will lead us to the public input period. We have 4 people signed up for public input. Forgive me if I destroy your name as I'm trying to read the handwriting. The first one is Lou Mazza. Okay, no comment. Okay. Next is Jessica Spears.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please state your name and your address where you live.
Jessica Spears, 51 Thomas Avenue.
Francisco Urbina, 51 Thomas Avenue.
So we are the homeowners, residents, and business owners at 51 Thomas, and we're here to strongly oppose the proposed changes to Thomas Avenue under the Monroe County Department of Transportation project, only the west side. We completely agree with the sidewalks from Mount Airy all the way to the lake, as well as the pedestrian signal at Eaton. However, the part that affects our neighborhood directly is what we're here to oppose tonight. So there's a few key reasons why. First is the lack of transparency from Monroe County. As you're probably aware by now, residents received a letter which was dated 25 of June. In that letter, it gave no details as to what would happen on the west side of Thomas Avenue, including the removal of centuries-old trees, the encroachment into the right-of-way, which would affect our property line. I'm sorry, not our property line, which would take away the right-of-way in the front of our yard. Road widening in a school zone. So obviously we feel as taxpayers, we expect honesty and communication. So we would like to sort of air our grievance about that. The second reason that we oppose the project is harm to the property and the neighborhood. So removing century-old trees from properties, including ours at 51, as well as our neighbors at 21, 31, 39, 75, 83, and 99 will, we believe, lower property values, increase energy costs. Those trees shade our entire home, so air conditioning costs are going to go up. It will reduce yard space and reduce safety. So those trees, we have 3 oaks in our front that are slated for removal. Those are our only barrier between the busy road and our home. So obviously it will reduce safety, not improve it. It will also increase noise and traffic hazards. Safety concerns, obviously, so widening the road in a school zone. Seneca Elementary is right there. It will make this it will make the area more dangerous for children. Speeding is already a problem in the neighborhood. If you live there or you drive through there, you know that people move very quickly through that area, disregarding the school zone, disregarding the traffic signal at times. There have been crashes. Everyone in the neighborhood is aware of that. So removing those trees to widen the street, although it's a well-intended project of putting in a bike lane, practically that's not how it's going to be used. Motorists already go up onto the embankment to pass other motorists, and allowing them to have extra room for their personal racetrack is not a good idea in a school zone. We're concerned about the kids not only during school hours, but all of the kids that utilize the playground and the baseball diamond at Seneca Elementary School 7 days a week. So this is something we're very concerned about. And just anecdotally, in 2020, we had our own experience with this. We had a motorist who was distracted, and she ended up hitting the northwest oak on our property, which caused her car to flip or kind of tip onto its side and skid to a stop. Had it continued on to its trajectory without that tree, she would have hit our home, and I'm sure that the crash would have been fatal. So it's very, very important to us that those trees are kept in place. We want to prioritize safety and not speed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Cheyenne Thomas.
Hello, my name is Cheyenne Rubin Thomas, and I reside at 39 Thomas Ave. So I'm joined here with my husband, who's not next to me right now, but I'm a PhD candidate at Cornell University in ecology and evolutionary biology with a background in conservation biology and genomics as well. I also work as a naturalist and community educator at the Cynic Park Zoo. So I'm here to also discuss the proposed construction plans along Thomas Avenue by the Monroe County Department of Transportation. I want to preface this by stating that I fully support improving and expanding on the sidewalk on the eastern side of the street to provide safer and more accessible walking conditions for our neighborhood. However, half of these construction plans call for removal of about 20 trees on the western side of the street to create a paved shoulder. I want to note that this particular detail was poorly represented and or interpreted by some folks because they believe that these trees will be removed for the sidewalk or for because they pose danger to our residents, neither of which are true. So these details should have been made clearer to our residents and in a more timely fashion at that. I also want to note that before moving forward that our house is directly impacted by these proposed construction plans, as we have a few mature oaks in the front of our yard that are slated for removal as well. There are several mature oaks which we would consider legacy trees, which can be defined as trees that have been alive for generations and have survived any disturbance throughout time. So our largest legacy oak slated for removal is 94 inches in diameter, and so we just consider this unacceptable. Even if these trees were replaced with new trees, it would take generations for our local ecosystem to recover. And I've listed as several reasons why these trees benefit our community. I'm not going to bog you down with sources and such, but I want to share some of these benefits, including environmental benefits, which include shade canopy, which helps reduce energy consumption and associated costs in the summers, and improved air quality by absorbing carbon dioxide and air pollutants such as wildfire smoke and pollen. This is directly related to resident wellness, and these trees provide accessible natural areas which are proven to reduce stress levels and lower blood pressure as well. Removing these trees would also result in loss of neighborhood character. There's a pretty strong connection to these trees throughout our neighborhood and beyond, and our neighborhood maintains a historic beauty and integrity that can be almost rare in similar environments. And lastly, removal of these trees would result in a disruption of safe traffic patterns. A paved shoulder would only encourage more aggressive driving on Thomas Ave, and despite being directly in a school zone, many drivers speed up and through that light at Thomas Ave and St. Paul. And maintaining the current road features does actually mostly help deter motorists from making unsafe passes and to lower their speed coming up to this light. And this is especially to consider since it's directly related to the safety of our neighborhood children, including those that attend Seneca Elementary right across the street. So I've set up an ongoing petition which currently has over 700 signatures in opposition of removing these legacy trees along the west side of Thomas Ave. And you can see just from this, there's a strong community support for leaving these trees untouched. And I hope that you'll join us in opposing the removal of these trees, and I strongly encourage you to contact representatives above you in this matter as well, and we request that Monroe County should reconsider these plans.
Thank you very much. Chris Brandt.
Good evening, all. Christopher Brandt, 288 Wimbledon Road. I'm here later for the Historic Preservation Code, but I wanted to come here for public comment. In addition to that, just to make a public announcement, there should be soon we'll be having a sort of visual flyer going out through town communication regarding the final meeting for the public. To review the findings of the Historic Resource Survey that was conducted over the last year over the entire town, surveying over 20,000 properties. The end results of that, which are being submitted to SHPO this week, provide the opportunity for thousands of homeowners within the town of Arundecoit, within several potential National Register districts, to access the Historic Tax Credit Program, along with identifying scores of potential individual landmarks and individual listed properties on the National Register as part of that. Our consultants who are working for the town, KTA Preservation Specialists, will be here in person to provide a overview of their findings and the sort of beautiful and deep history that they uncovered and documented in this work for the town. The public meeting will be here in the Broderick Room on Tuesday, September the 9th at 7 p.m. So again, we'll put out some flyers about that, but just wanted to make a public announcement here at Town Board regarding that meeting. I encourage all town board members and all members of the public to come and learn a little bit more about our town's wonderful history. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. Also, thank you for the great work that you guys have been doing. Is there anyone else that would like to address the town board?
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I wasn't going to speak, but as the chairman of the meeting announced that the public hearings later in the meeting will have a time limit. I served as the chairman of the planning board for 10 years. Those hearings are legal hearings. They're not public input. They're a hearing just as if a court was in session. Courts don't put time limits on hearings. Yes, if someone's repeating themselves, you have to cut it short because that's not the business of a public hearing. But Mr. Chairman, I think you should reconsider putting a time limit on a public hearing. I've got evidence to present, and not allowing me to present that evidence because you arbitrarily put a time limit on a public hearing, I don't think that's fair. It may be illegal, I don't know, but it's not right. Because you need to have the evidence. And if I can't give you the 5 pieces of evidence and only give you 2, then the public is being cheated. And having you, as a deliberate body, hear all the evidence. So please consider that decision you made. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to address the board? With that, that will close the public input period. Madam Controller, your financial report.
Financial results for the town as of July 31st. The total expenses as well as encumbered are $26,333,000 or 60.2% of budget, which is slightly higher than the 58.3% of the year that has elapsed. The breakdown is $23,329,000 for actual expenses and $3,003,000 for encumbrances. Encumbrances are 6.9% as departments continue to commit to services and supplies for the remainder of the year. General fund expenses are close to budget at 60.1% or $16,957,000. The split here is actual expenditures, $15,494,000, and encumbered expenses, $1,463,000. Jointly, the highway funds expenses are higher than the percent of the year that has elapsed at 74.4% or $4,509,000. Actual expenses within the highway funds are 55.6% of budget or $3,368,000. And encumbrances account for the remaining 18.8%, or $1,141,000. These costs are typically driven by salt, fuel, roadwork and paving services, and materials such as oil and stoning and asphalt, as well as equipment parts. Expenditures in the library fund are 58.7% of budget at $1,709,000. Included in this amount is the bond payment of principal and interest for the consolidated library. Sewer fund expenses of $2,092,000 equate to 49.7% of budget. Expenses on the stormwater drainage total $338,000 or 34.3% of budget. Revenue received in the general fund is $18,275,000 or 66.4% of budget. Real estate taxes are $13,011,000 and have been collected. Other revenues recorded include payments in lieu of taxes at $301,000 or 105% of budget, 2 months of sales tax at $1,176,000 or 16.8%, interest on earnings at $102,000, and recreation program fees of $619,000. Second quarter sales tax receipts are anticipated in August. Other major revenue items are expected later in the year include franchise fees and aid and incentives for municipalities. Regarding the entire town, $31,388,000 or 73.6% of revenue and appropriated fund balance have been received to date. Approximately $19,366,000 is real estate tax. At the end of July, the library received $2,856,000 or 98.1% of its budgeted revenue. 78.9% or $4,721,000 has been received in the collective highway funds. The sewer fund has received revenue of $3,822,000 or 96.7%. Stormwater drainage has has recognized $973,000 or 99% of budgeted revenue. In addition, American Rescue funds have been fully allocated to projects throughout the town. Roughly $20,156,000 or 89.7% has been expended to date on various projects. An additional $751,000 is encumbered. American Rescue Plan funding must be fully expended no later than December 31st, 2026. This concludes the financial report for July.
May I have a motion to adopt the financial report?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections, comments, or questions? I do have one question, not necessarily the financial report. Do we have a indicator how much the festival brought in for the town?
We do not have that figure yet. We're still working on it.
Thank you very much. Can you make that public? Because I think it's important that the public continue to support future events like that. And you don't have to wait for the next town board meeting. We just make an announcement of the benefits. With that, seeing that there's no corrections, questions, or comments, all in favor of adopting the financial report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The financial report is adopted. Madam Clerk, we have some minutes to approve.
Yes, approval of July 14th, 2025 workshop town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the July 22nd, 2025 regular town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved, not adopted, excuse me. We have several items for board action. Madam Clerk, can you read the first item?
Item number 1, authorizing the annual audit of the town courts.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Can I have an explanation?
We are required by New York State Office of Court Administration to conduct an audit each year of our town court. This resolution is the town board's authorization to perform that audit.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 2, authorizing the use of fund balance for stenographer services for Justice Court.
May I have a motion?
Move.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
This resolution would authorize the use of $2,300 of fund balance, of the general fund balance, to be applied for additional stenographer services in the court as they have had a need for increased court hours.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 3, authorizing grant application for the Justice Court Assistance Program.
May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this resolution authorizes the court to apply for the JCAP grant for the 2025-2026 program year. And if awarded the funds, it would be used for security improvements at the court, and there is no cost to the town.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 4, authorizing the acceptance of a monetary gift from the 50/50 raffle at the Classic Car Cruise-In for the Officer Wellness Program within the Arundecoit Police Department.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. On July 27th, the Arundecoit Police Department Wellness Program held a 50/50, and they raised $258.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 5, authorizing attendance to effective fitness combative training.
May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department's hosting training for officers and defensive tactics instructors to attend a training in defensive tactics, and this would help officers during close quarter combat.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
My only comment is that there's a typo related to the amount, and there's an extra decimal point and 2 extra zeros.
Okay, I thought we fixed that last for the workshop.
I did speak with the person that prepared it. It just didn't make it, but it is corrected on the actual resolution that will be posted.
Okay, do we have to say anything? It's corrected, it's just not in the packet.
So you'll be voting on the motion as amended.
Okay. Voting on the motion as amended, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 6, authorizing the acceptance of a monetary gift from National Night Out Dunk Tank and anonymous donations for the Officer Wellness Peer Support Program within the Arundecoit Police Department.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. On August 5th, we held the National Night Out here on the town property. Officers got into a dunk tape, and people could pay to dunk the officers. And we did raise $380.
And before we vote, I think the peer-to-peer program is great. So I thank you for everything that you guys are doing, and thank the peer counselors also. It's a tough job. Most people know that I'm a politician, but they don't know that I also come from the law enforcement community, and it's a tough road. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, can we squeeze one in?
Item number 7, declaring certain equipment surplus property.
May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this resolution would declare surplus the items on the addendum A. These items would be listed on the next online municipal auction.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, it's 1935, 7:35. Can you please read the first public hearing?
Public hearing number 1, 735, on the matter of amending Article 7 of Chapter 222 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to installation of no left turn signs.
motion? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this public hearing is to hear input on the changing of town code to amend the no left turning, which is in conjunction with the Monroe County project on Goodman Street. So this would add the no left turning on that road in the section.
All in favor for opening the public hearing, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The hearing is now open. I have no one scheduled to speak on the sheet. Does anyone want to address the board on this issue? Seeing none, seeing that there's no public comment for this, we'll now open up for discussion. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have none.
Nope.
Seeing none, I'll now take a motion to close the public hearing. May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, it appears that we have board action concerning this item.
Resolution number 1 under the public hearing, approving an amendment to Article 7 of Chapter 222 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to the installation of no left turn signs.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any additional questions or comments for discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, the second public hearing?
Public hearing number 2 on the matter of a proposed local law to amend the Historic Preservation Local Law of the Town of Arundecoit.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, this public hearing is a part of our process to update Chapter 236, which is the town's Historic Preservation Code. This has been a labor over the last couple of years, and any questions that you have in terms of updates can be directed to the Historic Preservation Chair or the historian, who are both seated in the front if you should have any questions.
Any discussion, questions, or?
I don't have any.
All in favor, say aye. All in favor for opening the public hearing, say aye. Oh, we open, I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor, let me see, I'm sorry. Let me just regroup. Okay, we have 3 people signed up to speak for this. We have Richard Barone first.
Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. My experience with this historical procedure goes back a couple years, and that is when they made the Cooper Deli a historical monument of sorts. If you look at the building, it's a hodgepodge building. There's no symmetry in the building. It's different kind of styles. It was dilapidated. And if you look at the document of the Historical Preservation Committee, they had no evidence that the building per se warranted anything. They had opinions. Oh, there were opinions galore in the paperwork. I looked at all the paperwork. There was no evidence whatsoever that that building by itself. The other issue when you look at a building is how it's used. Again, the record was replete with opinions and conclusions. It was a dilapidated building. It never was a center for this town. How do I know? I've lived here over 50 years, almost 60. It's never been a center of this town. Yeah, people go there for the meals. I go to other places for meals in this town. I went to Uncle Danny's for years. That was a place where a lot of people went. Did they make that a historical site? No. We have other places in this town that are in great shape that have become centers for people to kind of congregate, if you will. But if you look at the record, it's all opinions. No evidence whatsoever structurally on the building itself. I showed it to an architect, and he couldn't believe that they would put that Cooper Dell building as a historical building. It's a mess. Now they fixed it up, someone's going in there, that's wonderful news. It's a small building. You can't have large congregation of people meeting there. So what's my point? My point is this, and I don't know if this can be put into the law, or maybe it's something that the town board should be monitoring on how these people are put on these committees and what the heck they're doing. That's the problem we have. We have a building that the people who bought it wanted to develop the whole area. A multimillionaire who owned Jeremiah's Tavern and Restaurant. He bought several pieces of property. He was going to expand it. He was going to improve it. He was going to spend millions of dollars, and he went away. He left his town. Why? Because the historical committee decided they didn't want to deal with him. So he didn't deal with them either. They were both at fault, perhaps. But what in the world are we doing when we take a dilapidated building and all of a sudden restrict it from being developed into something better? Please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Brandt?
Evening all. In response to the public comments regarding 690 Titus, the interest in that building came directly from the public. The application, as I think you all know, was submitted by members of the public to the commission. The commission, per its charge of the current code and of its charge, if the code is updated, is to respond to those landmark designations that can be applied by any member of the public. I'd furthermore note that the State Court of Appeals upheld our decision with the support of the town attorney defending our position, and I thank the town for upholding that instead of overruling us because of the loudest people in the room. In regard to the update to the code update is an effort to get our historic preservation code in compliance with the New York State Standard Historic Preservation Code, which is a requirement for the town of Arundecoit to be a CLG, or certified local government. That standing with the state is what allowed us to secure the $40,000 grant that funded the Historic Resource Survey that's now just concluding. If our code is not in compliance with the state standards, we lose our standing as a CLG for the state. Staff at the state, the State Historic Preservation Office have reviewed this code and fully approve of its writing and have certified that it is in compliance with the state standard. Our adjustments to the state standard code to what is in front of you today was primarily to specifically tailor it to our town, as well as to respond to previous public input concern. You may have seen in the code we have the category of what's called scenic landmarks, and that was in particular in response to folks that were concerned about items that are not necessarily buildings, but are historic elements of our sort of lived experience here in the town. Like we just heard earlier today with the large trees that are along Thomas Avenue. We also had members of a local church come before us in concern about their bicentennial oak tree that sits on Culver Road, and trying to figure out what to do to potentially protect it, and we did not have any kind of means to do that in our current code. And that's probably maybe the most major addition beyond the sort of state standard that we utilize to guide the new code before you tonight. And I welcome any further comments or questions that come from the public. I'm happy to respond to those and to any questions that may come up from the board members as well. Thank you again for your time.
Can you please state your address for the record?
Sorry, yes, Chris Brandt, 288 Wimbledon Road.
Thank you.
The next speaker we have scheduled is Greg Devlin. Okay. All right, does anyone else want to address the board for this public hearing? Seeing none, I will now open up for discussion. Any discussion or comments?
Just a comment, thank you for all of the work on this. It was, I did sit in on a meeting with you. I know that this was an immense amount of work, and you took a lot of input. So I appreciate all of the work on this.
Yeah, I agreed to. I mean, I saw the number of edits in the document. It was pretty significant, and I think you've gone through all the protocols and and the steps to have it brought before SHPO to bring us into compliance, and certainly is a big effort, and I know myself how much effort it takes to put into writing any law or ordinance, and it's a significant amount, and to make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed is a daunting task at times. So thank you to you and the Preservation Commission.
Yes, Chris, thank you, and you showed some examples why we needed to improve this, so that's why you do these things, and appreciate it, and thank you for that.
Again, Chris, thank you for your efforts. I might add, though, that to the other comments that were made, maybe at one time the building in question here was under dismay and needed repair. That has definitely changed. If you take a minute and drive around that corner, we have two businesses in there, and one on the way. So I think that location is up and coming and has been renovated, and it's going to be a plus for West Arundecoit.
And I guess I would only add too, as an architect myself who works within the preservation world, designating a building as a landmark is not necessarily a detriment to the building. It opens it up to tax credits and other avenues of financing that could be a great benefit to a landlord if they're willing to, to explore that opportunity. And if, the current owner or others want to look into some of those tax credit benefits, that could significantly probably benefit them financially also. So some people take it as a benefit. Others may take it as a detriment. It's Paul in your world and sphere of influence, I suppose. And I think I've worked on many projects where owners think it's a significant benefit.
Thank you, Peter.
And we have met with the new owners when they acquired the building on those benefits. So thanks for your help also, and Chris's help on getting that information to them, especially Chris met many hours with them before the first business went in. So we are trying as a board to work to bring our community up and to lift us up as much as possible. Since there's no other speakers,
Actually, I just wanted to note too that this is not just about that corner.
Right.
So I think we're really focusing in just on that corner. This is our entire town that we're talking about, so.
I am looking forward to that entire report. This is a deviance from it. I meant to say before, we could get an advance or rears. Yeah, if we could get one, if we could get a copy, that would be very interesting to read it in advance of that. I'm not releasing it to anyone, but I would love to peruse that. I was part of the process when we selected a consultant for that, working along with the Preservation Commission, so I would appreciate that. I'm sure the town board would also. I appreciate that's a deviation from what we're talking about, but I apologize.
all right, I will now take a motion to close this public hearing. May I have a motion?
Move.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. The hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, it appears there is action to be taken concerning this public hearing.
Yes, resolution number 2 for the public hearing. Adopting a local law regarding a text amendment to chapter 236 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, third public hearing.
Public hearing number 3, on the matter of a proposed local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235 regarding short-term rentals.
May I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The hearing is now open. Mr. Barone? And before you start, sir, for anyone that's going over the 3-minute mark, please submit the continued response in writing. The board will get that, and if the board has any questions, then the meeting will remain open after this, so there will be an additional time to give more information. But if you have information that you want to leave, please give it to the clerk. and she will distribute it to the board. Okay, with that, Mr. Barone.
Thank you. Richard Barone, 154 Allwood Drive. I'd like to present my credentials for speaking on this matter. 14 years on the planning board of this town dealing with land use issues, which this is. Your proposal in this hearing is a land use. I also submit for your consideration the fact that I was a landlord 27 years in this town for single-family homes, and I dealt with tenants, and it's difficult dealing with tenants at times. The first item, which I've given to you in writing, is that it says all or part of the property is offered for rental. If all the property is offered for rental, it's no longer owner-occupied. Who is there to check to make sure the tenants are complying with the town requirements? New York City did away with absent landlords from properties that are short-term rentals. The letter writer in what I gave you from the Wall Street Journal, that particular person is not totally correct. They outlawed short-term rentals, but only if you're not owner-occupied. Your law says they don't have to occupy the property. So it'll be totally rental, a total rental. Please change that. Make it only part and make it owner-occupied. So you have somebody there checking on these tenants. Number two, I won't go into the second item, it's not too big a deal. But the third item is a biggie. And I had a hobby in audio. I built my first audio system in 1961. I've done all kinds of audio, and I have an audio sound level meter. The problem with the dBA scale that you mentioned in the law is that it only registers 500 cycles and above. It's missing all the bass sounds. Both the A range and the C range cover up to 10,000 cycles. That's not the issue. But the dB, the decibel level, the C range goes down to 20 cycles, which is the lower level of human hearing. So your code is going to allow all the bass sounds not to be an issue for noise. Does that make sense? No. The Recording Industry of America, the standard for the difference between bass sounds and high frequencies is 1,000 cycles, 1,000 CPS, which is kind of a high note, actually. It's not too much of a bass. But anything below 500 cycles is a low sound, and that will permeate buildings. That will shake buildings, just like water. So please change that. And keep in mind that New York City did away with non-owner occupied. Finally, the letter writer said it well. Short-term rentals chip away at the residential character of the neighborhood. Keep that in mind. Please make the recommendations I'm suggesting. Thank you.
Thank you, and please provide the additional comments to the clerk. Peter Westfall, excuse me.
Good to see another Peter. I'm Peter Westfall. I live at 308 Catawba Avenue, Westerville, Ohio. I'm currently staying at 425 Rock Beach Road, and I wanted to come here and speak about that. And where I'm staying is owned by Jen Suba, and she's a short-term rental through Airbnb, and I've stayed there for the past 3 years, usually a couple times a year, and it is allowing me to visit my daughter, who moved to Rochester, New York, about 4 years ago, and I have a son in Boston, and it's interesting, Rochester is the midpoint between essentially Westerville, Ohio, and Boston. So we often gather here for Thanksgiving meals. We gather here right now because I'm a triathlete. I participate in the triathlete event. I support the community during my visits. We spend a lot of money in the community. Having this particular home allows us to meet the dietary concerns of my family. I have a son that has peanut allergies. She has a well-equipped kitchen. I seek out places to stay throughout the country and the world that allow me to do my own cooking, have a house I'm willing to pay. I participate in many events. So I really support the short-term rental market because I need them for my needs of my family as I travel a great deal. And I did want to mention that, again, I regularly visit here. I support the community. I spend a lot of money here. I'm a very quiet person. I usually like to be in bed by 8:30. I'm a very early riser, 5 a.m., come by for a cup of coffee. That's what I do. I think Jen screens her people very well. I think that is some of the things that need to be encouraged when you have short-term rentals, is to get some of the compliance. And I've seen all the proposals that Jen gave me, and I think there's some good things there, but a balanced approach on the regulations would be a good way to do it, to encourage people to visit this community. You have a beautiful lake. I love being able to walk to the lake, and it's not always easy to find places, especially at certain times of the year. I often reserve this spot 8 months ahead, and so I really enjoyed that. So again, I wanted to, let's say, I'm concerned with all the kind of the strict things. I saw some things on caps. I don't know all the numbers. I don't know what's the appropriate number, but I just hope that you give a balanced approach, because you definitely want to have good, responsible people visiting your fantastic community. And I've really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed seeing my daughter move here. And I know nobody else in New York. So anyway, thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Jen Schuba?
Hello, I'm Jen Suba. I live at 72 Tryon Park, and the rest of the time I live at 425 Rock Beach Road. I live at my family's cottage on Rock Beach Road nearly half of the year. I've been a host for almost 10 years, earning super host and guest favorite status on Airbnb. What started as a small way to share the beauty and joy of Irondequoit has become my livelihood, and how I plan to retire here. Hosting doesn't just support me, it supports our community. It provides a steady work for cleaners, lawn and snow crew, and contractors. Guests spend money in our restaurant, shops, and attractions. Hosts also feel real needs for families visiting relatives, who just heard from Peter, caregivers supporting patients, traveling medical professionals, house hunters, and those here for reunions, graduations, weddings, funerals, and signature events, just like the Hoochie-Nanny that just happened this past weekend. Responsible hosts like me are also good neighbors. We pay taxes, we maintain our properties, we care deeply about the neighborhood. I spoke to the town board meeting for over a year now, submitting multiple proposals, and even going door to door talking to my neighbors. All except one neighbor in my neighborhood signed the petition supporting me and responsible short-term hosts, and I have those signatures here. One of my neighbor who lives kitty corner across the street from me wrote, "Jen is an asset to our neighborhood, welcoming, helpful, and enthusiastic about Irondequoit. We've had nothing but wonderful experiences with her and her guests." That's why I'm deeply concerned about the draft ordinance. A cap of just 50 permits townwide is not a real solution. It unfairly punishes responsible hosts who follow the rules and contribute positively while doing little to stop the nuisance operators. At the very least, responsible hosts should be grandfathered in so they don't lose everything they've built with the stroke of a pen. There's a better way. Local hosts recently submitted a 23-page fact-driven counter-proposal, A Better Way Forward. It's built on proven best practices, ensures enforcement against bad actors, and protects responsible hosts and the small businesses that rely on short-term activity. Every Airbnb tries to share, even Airbnbs tries to share best practices with the town, but the town has not responded. That's not very reassuring. I ask a simple favor. Please give full consideration to the counter-proposal before making any decisions. It represents balance, fairness, and real solutions that work for Irondequoit. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce?
My name is Bruce Merla. I live at 254 Park Circle in Rochester. Jen was instrumental in helping my wife and I set up a Airbnb. We ran for 3 years, and it was kind of a life dream of my wife to have like a bed and breakfast. But what I found the best part of that was how conscientious she was about making sure everything was done right. And I've been at her cottage numerous times, and I've gotten to meet some of the people in the neighborhood, and there's never been a complaint. And I just hope that, like she said, the cap of 50, you know, if she doesn't become one of the 50, well, then she loses her livelihood. You know, some people do this because they can, others do it because that's what they do for a living. And so keep that in mind, okay? Thank you.
And I have to apologize to everyone. This is a public hearing, so you are allowed to engage with the town board. Does the town board so far have any questions of the people who spoke previously? Okay. With that, Tammy Howdell?
Tammy Haldo, 39 Schnackle Drive. I watched the workshop meeting the other day, and thought we were all kind of moving forward until I heard that you guys wanted to make some tweaks. And I don't know what tweaks mean, and to me that's something small, and I'm hoping that that's what it is. One of the tweaks you might want to consider is that in there you've put that the owners have to respond within 4 hours, but there's no time limit placed on yourselves. We made a complaint, not about the short-term rental, but something in our neighborhood that had taken place, and we complained on a Thursday online. We'd made a follow-up phone call on Saturday to codes, didn't hear anything. We then called again on Monday, didn't hear anything. Then we called Wednesday. They finally got back to us on a Wednesday after the initial complaint was Thursday. That's not swift work. I feel like you might need to put time constraints on yourself. The grandfathering. I feel like some of the people that are asking for grandfathering, I feel like everyone should have a clean slate. You start fresh. Everybody, I don't know how you plan on doing that, you know, if it's the picking of the hat, but then we do have some neighbors that started their business during the moratorium. How do you grandfather those people in? They weren't even permitted to be working, and to be quite honest, that person I think is doing a great job down there. Changing from the 50 to 100, that to me is not a small tweak either. I think that's a large tweak. Our town probably is big enough to hold 100 of them. As long as they're more than 500 feet apart, and that you are not taking away that community that we want. Currently, there are 6 out of 30 homes on my street. That's not a community anymore. It's unraveling, and like I said, 100 in the whole town, maybe, but you can't have 6 on one street. That's too much. So really, please, 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 do not tweak that 500 feet unless it's making it larger. I'm hoping that you don't change the 3-night minimum to a 2-night minimum. For me, that means dealing with 15 sets of strangers or 10 sets of strangers. That to me is a big difference. If you let it go back to 2 nights instead of 3 nights, like I said, that's 15 sets of strangers that are next door to me in 1 month. I think that's it.
Any questions or comments from the town board?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make one statement that's more for the public and also you. Very often people will put online, Facebook or Instagram, whatever, a complaint. That's not really complaining to the town. So if you have a problem, call 911 or call directly to the code enforcement. But putting a comment, not you, I mean, in general. In general. In general, if you have a comment, go directly to that department or the supervisor's email, supervisor@irondequite.gov. I just want to put that out for everybody because it's often said, and that's not really how you complain through social media, because no one's monitoring that. You can speak. No, wait, wasn't you? No. Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much for that clarification. Okay, Marcia Enright? And while you come up, I did get your letter, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you. My name is Marcia Enright. I live at 75 Clay Avenue. All my family lives in Arundecoit, however. Some people have come to the board asking you to allow short-term rentals in order to protect their investment. They don't live in these houses. An investment that they made of their own choice. Didn't have to. Kind of like investing in the stock market. That's some of the people, S-O-M-E. However, the sum of the people have come in, they have answered your survey, they're asking you to protect their homes, their peace and their quiet and their so-called domestic tranquility. Doesn't sound like you're listening. STRs operate 24/7. This town doesn't. So you have absolutely no way to police it. The residents of the town are tired of being your unpaid quality control. They have to call you. They have to wait for you to open. They have to hope the police don't have a motor vehicle accident with 16 cars on Ridge Road. They can't always get there to solve the problems. These are words on a piece of paper you're presenting. They're not a way to solve the residents' problems. I guess it's time for you to show these people by your actions whether their politicians are speaking for some, S-O-M-E, or are you speaking for the S-U-M? Thank you. Congratulations to your attorney also.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Janine Tantalo?
Hi, Janine Tantello, 5224 St. Paul Boulevard. I've been an Airbnb host for 4 years. I've shared at a lot of these meetings and had a lot of conversations and have been listening to everything all along this whole journey. So I don't want to rehash what I've already shared. I looked at the proposed plan, the town site that was put on the town site, and I feel like the people who have opposed it should be pretty happy with some of the stuff that's on the proposal. There are some regulations, common sense ones, that the hosts seem to be fine with, and they do have an avenue for it. I mean, maybe there needs to be a better path to get hold of someone quickly, like was mentioned, but there's a lot of things in place that will deter any problem, nuisance, Airbnbs or STRs that are running, like the pretty hefty fines unless that's changed. What I do feel that's lacking in the plan is a plan for and a regard for the hosts, such as myself. We've been operating, a lot of us have been operating without any problems. Respectfully, the lottery system for permits and the distance rule between properties is not fair at all. Random assignments of permits through a lottery is not a good answer to the problems. If two short-term rentals are operating successfully without problems and are following rules, but they're in that proximity to each other, one has to go. I mean, that just feels really unfair, and it doesn't really do anything for the problem that people are complaining, the problems that people are bringing here. I'm asking the town to give the same consideration to hosts that has been given to those with complaints. Okay, if you consider these items about hosts, as hosts, up until right now, we haven't broken any rules by operating STRs. Many of us do have good relationships with our neighbors. Most of us live in Arundecoit, and all of us own property in Arundecoit. We pay school and property taxes, as well as additional occupancy taxes to Monroe County and sales tax to New York State. Hosts have come to many meetings, prepared, informed, respectful, and I've seen a lot of ideas offered to address existing problems, even if we haven't had them personally. We're providing a needed service and bringing revenue into our local economy. We're helping to support many of our local small restaurants and businesses, and we do have the support of many town residents. This is evidenced by online petitions in support of STRs. The numbers in support far outnumber the responses to the town survey in favor of short-term rentals. Just because some residents don't like the ideas or they have had nuisance issues does not mean that they're all bad or should be abolished because of individual unique situations. Okay, if permits are assigned through a lottery system or even first come, first serve, it will not solve any existing problems, and it will be an unnecessary loss for a lot of hosts and guests.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Santillo?
Thanks.
Thank you. Want to say Robert? Thank you.
Robert Dates, 3 Harrison Terrace. I never had a horse in the race until a few weeks ago when I heard this issue coming to light. This is my issue. The town of Arundecoit, if you shut off these B&Bers, you're walking a slippery slope with the Fourth Amendment. Let me bore you with the Fourth Amendment right now. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, properties, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. If you're going to go into a B&B and tell them they have to be regulated, kind of an unrealistic search. If you tell them they can't be a B&B with their property they pay taxes on, that's a seizure to me. And any first-year law student could have a field day with that. Secondly, why the town of Arundecoit would cut off the knees, your best ambassadors, people coming into town to enjoy Arundecoit. I've met a doctor from Nigeria who had a B&B here across my street who was here for his University of Rochester son graduation, being a doctor. I met fishermen from West Virginia that had to go out on Lake Ontario. I've met winter enthusiasts that had to be here for a week to enjoy the winter. Have you guys informed that maybe the businesses in Arundecoit are going to get cut off at the knees? You tell Hermas they're not going to sell as many groceries to visitors. Schooners, they might get cut. Marges, maybe not have the business. Have they been informed of what's going on here? You let them know that their business may be cut off? And in all due respect, the argument of who's living next to me is ridiculous. I can live next to the biggest idiot for 20 years in Arundecoit and live next to maybe a pain in the ass for 2 days. What's the choice? And if a B&B'er is forced to sell their house, being me, would sell it to the biggest nightmare going so they could learn a lesson as to who's living next to you. I'll tell you right now, you got to be really careful.
No.
And I think you're walking a slippery slope with the Fourth Amendment on this.
Any questions of Mr. Date? Any questions? Thank you. Carla? Yes, Carla, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my Cajun accent slips out once in a while.
Nice handwriting either. So I have to say, I'm not really good at public speaking, and I
Please state your name and
sorry,
address.
Carla Doughton. I live at 70 Madison Terrace. I'm prepared in my mind. I really haven't prepared anything. It was kind of a short notice meeting, but anyway, what I would like to say is first, I've been a host at the property across the street from my home for 6 years. I wanted to start with this, that I do not oppose to the majority of what your proposal is. I think they should be regulated. I think I don't have a problem with the insurance, the making sure the property is up to code, all of that. However, the one thing that I do have problem with, or two, is the distance. On Madison Terrace, there were 4 Airbnbs. We're down to 2, one of which is mine and one of which is 5 houses down. So 2 on one street, with that 500, that would eliminate 1, which 2 on one street does not seem like a big deal to me. Secondly, the lottery. So to support a lot of what's been said here tonight is I bought that property because I wanted my family to have, it's like a second home for us. My family, I have 5 grandchildren, 4 children with their significant others. We're 13, I don't know however many people that is. We enjoy it for the majority of the summer. We go sledding in the winters. We all don't fit in one, they all like to stay over. I purchased the property so that my family could enjoy Somerville. And if I'm not chosen this lottery, my kids lose out, my grandkids lose out. And I think the lottery, I think it should go, my thoughts are, some of us are being punished for the few. There's many people that own 5, 6, 8. If you own that many, you cannot screen your people. Every time someone books to help me pay for the property that I couldn't afford otherwise, that my family uses, probably 50% of the time, I see where they're from. They cannot automatically book unless they have 3 good reviews. If they have 1 bad review, they can't automatically book. They have to come through me. I ask why they're coming, who's coming, ages, all of that. There's no parties allowed. I do a 2-night minimum. I wouldn't care about the 3-night minimum. I would never do a 1. 3 would be fine. I wouldn't oppose to that. But that being said, I want to say, to support what others have said as well, when I started this just before COVID hit. And COVID hit, and people were coming in to my property. I mean, maybe twice a week, there were another set of people visiting sick relatives. Unfortunately, some of those people came back for the relative's funeral. I have people that come for graduations, for weddings they're attending, people that lived in Aurora, have family that still live in Arundequoit and they've moved away, they come back. I feel like I'm really providing a service. I have repeat people that come 2, 3 times, probably 4 people that come a couple times a year, for sets of people. I think by making this a lottery, and you are, for the rest of that comment, losing out on the business opportunities and all of that, so.
Any questions of Ms. Dalton? Thank you. Sarah Eck?
Sarah Eck, 162 Schnackle. I recognize that property owners, whether short-term rental hosts, long-term landlords, or resident homeowners, maintain their properties in different ways. However, the town's expectation should be consistent that all homeowners should be responsible neighbors. In Arundequoit, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Many owners take care of their homes by mowing, plowing, planting, repairing, and maintaining in general. Others allow their properties to fall into disrepair, leaving garbage, broken vehicles, unsafe structures, tarps in place over their homes for years. I have experienced all this in my neighborhood. These conditions diminish the neighborhood and burden those living nearby. Behavior is equally important. I have also experienced loud parties, reckless driving, drug use, fighting, disruptive activity, and most often this is from resident owners and long-term renters in my experience of living in Arundequoit. This shows that disruptive behavior is not unique to short-term rentals only. For this reason, I urge the town to hold all property owners, short-term, long-term, and residents alike to the same standards. Neglect can come from any category of ownership, and enforcement should be fair and consistent among all. The second thing I am also concerned about is the proposal to publish short-term rental owners' names and contact information on the town's website. As someone who has experienced stalking, harassment, and identity theft, I consider this a very serious risk. If such a policy is adopted, then all property owners should be subject to the same requirement, not just short-term rental hosts. I respectfully ask that the town consider equal enforcement and equal treatment for every property owner in the town of Arundequoit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Chris Lacko?
Hi, my name is Dr. Christopher Lacco, and my address is 48 Westview Terrace. The following points would make it nearly impossible to run a short-term rental if implemented. First one being, each rental should be a minimum of 3 consecutive nights. This is very restrictive and will make it nearly impossible to economically run a short-term rental. My personal data of 3 nights or more is 33 out of 16 bookings in the last 12 months. After all the costs, mortgages, taxes, insurances, it's close to impossible to break even. So I think a solution would be no minimum nights or a 2-night minimum. 50% of bookings are 2 nights, Friday, Saturday. A minimum night shouldn't be required because if a noise complaint occurs, we will get violations and get closed down. The fines will control for public nuisances. Point number 2. The total number of short-term rentals, short-term rental permits shall not exceed 50. The problem with that is we have paid for permits thus far, and we get kicked out of the total cap if we don't meet that 50. This is not fair for those of us that have been around for a while now. The solution, grandfather in those permits that currently exist. Also, if we make it percentage-based of only 0.5% of Arundecoy population, that covers all the 95 rentals that exist today, meaning 99.5% of Arundecoy won't have short-term rentals around them. That's very fair. Point number 3, quiet hours. Noise levels measured at property lines shall not exceed 55 decibels. Outside of quiet hours, noise levels shall not exceed 65 decibels. The problem with that is a one-time laugh can exceed that. If a child's just running and you have a neighbor who just wants to shut down a short-term rental, they can cross that easily. Normal conversation, electric fan, a toothbrush can cross that. Decibel of 65, air conditioner can cross that. A child playing outside, playing tag, a lawnmower. Problem number 2, a violation is counted against us even if we show proof that we attempted to abate the situation. Solutions that I propose, the decibel requirements need to cross a threshold for a sustained period of 30 minutes. Otherwise, any of these or anything else can cross those decibel thresholds easily. A normal conversation is about 60 decibels and 70 decibels is like TV audio. So I propose that we do 60 minutes for quiet hours, 60 decibels for quiet hours and 75 decibels for during the day. Point number 4, revoke short-term rental permits. Suspension of permits can only be taken after 3 violations in 1 year. Otherwise, it's too harsh to completely suspend a permit and ruin someone's business if they get 1 violation or 3 violations in 2 years. That's 3 out of 120 bookings over 2 years approximately.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
The first one is, where did you get the 95 number from? That there's only 95 short-term rentals in Arundecoy.
So, based off of a group of 14 of us in a WhatsApp chat, a couple of us have reported 95. I've personally looked, and there was about 90. What I did was I just went to Airbnb, put in minimum number of requirements, so like 1 guest, whatever the minimum was. And then I just searched, and you could see just in Arundecoy, there's 80 to 100 roughly.
Okay, my experience is a little bit different.
Okay.
All right, so before we began these hearings last year, I put in a number and came up with several hundred people in Arundecoy offering Airbnbs, and I don't think that's between Verbo, Airbnb, and the other booking agencies. There was uniquely several hundred properties of people offering short-term rentals in Arundecoy. I don't know what that, and thus lies the problem, is that we don't have an exact number of who has property because we don't track rental properties. Am I correct, Mr. Lang?
No, we did a demo on a software program that takes a look at all of the different short-term rental programs across the internet. That includes VRBO, Airbnb, etc., even Facebook Marketplace. And the number over the last 12 months averaged out to between 90 and 110, depending on the season. So,
Okay, so a little bit less than what I looked at manually calculating it by doing it manually. So that there's a problem. Even 90 to 110 is a big switch, is a big swing, especially when they're concentrated in certain areas, which is around the lake, which is around scenic areas that people want to live rest for peace and quiet. So we're juggling two things here. We're juggling the rights of the property owner and the rights of the resident to have peace and quiet. I don't think anyone up here, or I can speak for myself, we have to weigh both things and both options for that. And the right to do commerce is not the same thing as the right to have peace. So those are the things so even though I have a personal preference, I have to consider both things when I consider that.
No, I totally understand. I think that's wise to do. I just think the fees and the fines will control for that. So if people are out of line, they're going to go bye-bye eventually. So we don't have to like micromanage every single detail. You know what I mean? That's my opinion at least. So,
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Phil? Have Phil Durst? Durr? Okay, Susan? Susan Piantowski? Is that correct? Okay. Carl Kurtz?
Carl Kurz, 87 Schnackle. I wanted to come speak today because I not only have lived at 87 Schnackle for 21 years, but I also own the property next door. And I ran a short-term rental there for about 1 year, and I stopped the short-term rental. And it's just kind of what you said. It was that balance between the rights of the residents versus someone making money. And I'll say that the Schnackle's a unique neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood, but it's a unique neighborhood. And I had my own internal hearing and said, I don't think it's right what I'm doing to the residents with having to deal with these short-term renters. So having stopped it, I felt like I was making the profits for my gain. That was nice, but at the burden of all my my long-term neighbors. So I switched over to a long-term rentals, and then that's, I believe, solved a lot of the problems. The challenge of Schnackle, and I say this is different, Schnackle versus, say, Rock Beach Road or one of these other roads where it's across. Schnackle's a unique property or a unique neighborhood in Arundecoit. It's a one-lane road. It's a very narrow road. It's difficult to access. A lot of people, when they come down, their navigation unit tells them to turn on. They get stuck teeter-tottering on the edge. It's kind of funny to watch, but it's not good. It's a hill. People come head-to-head. They get in horn-honking battles about who should go up, who should go down. I've seen cars get stuck in the winter because the short-term renters come from Florida. They've got the wrong car. They've got the wrong tires. They can't get out. So that impedes all the people that live there full year-round. We can't get in and out because we're constantly dealing with these new people coming in and out. The Cove is also an area where the sound travels quickly, easily across the water, and people, short-term renters, they're on vacation. They're hooting and hollering it up, and that's good. And but the problem is the hot tub parties, the fires, the late night drinking, and everyone's coming in and having that, and it does disrupt the neighborhood. It's nice to see people having fun, but it gets to be tiresome night after night after night, every weekend. Long-term residents don't have a party every night. This is a party every night. So the people, I also don't live down there to be a host, like a hotel host, telling people where to go eat, what to go do, and you deal with that day after day after day. I like to be social, but it gets to be a burden. So the profits, I don't get any of the profits. The neighborhood doesn't get any of the profits. So that gets to be a big burden on the neighborhood. So that's why I personally decided to stop the short-term rental. I still I do well with the long-term rental. 1 month, no problem. So I did it for my neighbors, and I'm very happy with what I've done.
Do you think that there should be zoning within the Arundecoit? Because what you're suggesting is that certain neighborhoods should be off limits, which limits where the neighbors go. Going with Mrs. The letter that I got earlier suggested maybe doing it in industrial areas or manufacturing areas where it's not as disruptive to contiguous neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's having a broad sweeping solution for all of Arundecoit is, I think, maybe not quite the optimal answer. Because the neighborhood getting down there is unique, and we had to deal with all these problems. And even just yesterday, someone went out and we had to go try to rescue people that went out on their paddle boards, and they were in the wind the other day, and we had to go rescue them in our boat, which we do. We're not like, oh, you're short-term rental, you go out there. But you deal with that day after day after day. So.
1 second, please. Only speaker. Okay.
So it's just it's a challenge. I think each neighborhood is unique, and that's what I'm trying to say here. I'm not against short-term rentals. I use them. I see the benefit, but each neighborhood, Rock Beach Road, I don't know the other neighborhoods. All I can do is speak to where I know our neighborhood is a challenge.
This question is for my DPW and Mr. Lang. How difficult would it be to zone the town? Would it be a major undertaking? Would it be possible for the areas that should be limited to maybe similar to what we do with the zoning for businesses?
Well, this is an amendment to the zoning code, so that's what we're looking at. However, to create an additional zoning district would require looking at the entire town, which would be a fairly significant endeavor, which would likely require us to look at the entire zoning of the entire town.
You'd also have to comply with it'd have to be consistent with the comprehensive plan.
It's also an EPOD.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that? All right. Thank you. Not yet, ma'am. I think it's Mark.
Somebody who lives on 39 Schnack. You don't know who I am yet? Come on.
Mark Haldo, 39 Schnackle Drive. Carl is one of my neighbors. A few of my neighbors are here. So for right now, we have 5 short-term rentals. We have 5 regular rentals. We have 9 other houses that are cottages that could turn into any kind of rental at any moment. They could turn them into a short-term rental, long-term rental. So that's 19 houses out of 30 in our neighborhood that could be total either short-term rentals or long-term rentals. That's 63% of our neighborhood. I just don't see how that's even right to even do, that there's that many, rentals in that area. We do you already have code, I keep saying it every single time, with no hotels, motels, or rooming houses, and it also says at the bottom, and any use similar to this above. So I'm saying that is similar. Trying to think what else I have here. And again, everybody keeps saying that everything's on this is going to protect the neighbors. I don't see anything on this thing that's going to protect the neighbors in our neighborhood other than the night stays do help because it limits the people that are there because ours is rented every single night. It's not just weekends, it's every single night of the week that is rented. So to limit it a little bit more would be great, to slow that down. The codes, some of the codes that people are saying that are there, we already have them. They're for every neighbor. Every neighbor has a garbage code, a noise code, and all this other stuff. And they came up here and they said they want stricter, regulations and stricter fines. And then as soon as you start doing them, they just want, oh, no, we don't want those. We don't want those. And there is no balance. And again, I don't see anything on here. We called your code department. Both times no one answered the phone. I had to leave a message. The only time I talked to someone is when I actually said, you need to call me back. They did call me back on Thursday. I think they came down Thursday or Friday, but by then the situation was already taken care of somewhat. The garbage is still sitting out there. It's been there for 2 weeks now. It smells like a dead body. But as long as it's covered, as long as it has a cover on it, I guess it's okay. There's flies everywhere. It's disgusting. There was garbage all over the place, all over the ground. I sent pictures in, but by the time you guys finally came down to even look, all this stuff is gone. So again, you need to have some kind of, on your end, better communications for the neighbors and better time limits on when you guys have to come and take a look at things. Because given it 24 hours, 4 days, I mean, that's just ridiculous, you know, to have it that long. And again, our situation is so much different than any neighborhood around. Again, Rock Beach, I don't know. And then, like I said, that 500 feet, it'll limit it to, in our neighborhood, to 2.
Are there any questions for Ms. Howdo? Thanks very much. Tracy?
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm Tracy. I live on 94 Adrian Road.
Can you please state your full name?
Sure, Tracy Allen. I wish it was Snackle Drive, but it's not. It's on Adrian Road. So I purchased my home several years ago with the expectation that I would be living there. But unfortunately, due to my elderly parents needing my assistance, I needed to stay with them to help. Then I was left with the dilemma of what to do with my house. I absolutely love my house. All of the original cottage details like the swing-in Peter Pan windows that open up to my beautiful screened-in porch. It has been my dream that when I reach retirement, I can settle down in this house. I was lucky enough to have a son that needed a place to stay for a while, and he took good care of the house. After he moved, I had a close friend that was looking for a place to stay briefly. That's when I learned the nightmare of long-term tenants. He put screw holes in my windows, trashed the grounds surrounding my house, and did I mention he was staying for free? My first thought was, well, just get him out. Well, easier said than done. He knew his rights better than I did. I'm protected. You can't make me move. And even if I get evicted, New York State will allow me to stay up to a year after eviction. After I finally got myself out of that situation, I was afraid of renting my house out again, at least anything over 30 days. So my house has just stayed empty. Paying taxes and not living there, and Irondequoit taxes are not cheap. So my daughter thought of doing an Airbnb. I spoke with my neighbors and they were excited about the idea. They said that's better than having the house empty, Tracy. I have been working on the project slowly between my full-time job and being my parents' caregivers. Creating a short-term rental takes time because it needs to be perfect so you can get good reviews. After all of the work and money to get my Airbnb running, my sister said, "Did you hear about the news? Irondequoit is blocking Airbnb rentals." My heart sank and I immediately got on the phone, contacting other Airbnb hosts, and a lot of them did not even know that there was any meeting going on or any bans that were coming about. Preventing me from having a short-term rental is not going to increase the long-term rental pool in Irondequoit, because I would not rent my house out long-term. I'll just leave it empty until I finally retire and move into it. A bad guest can quickly be removed, but a bad tenant is a nightmare for months, for a year maybe or so. I love my house and would love to continue sharing it with occasional guests. I have invested a lot of time and money into this and want to continue to host. So that's my story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Miranda?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm, doing great. How are you?
Good.
All right. My name is Miranda Kick. I live at 68 Schnackle Drive. I'm speaking before you this evening in hopes to amend the proposed law regarding short-term rentals here in Arundecoit. There are two main areas that I strongly disagree with, and I hope that this is all something you deeply consider before your decision. Under the required permit section, it reads, "The total number of short-term rental permits shall not exceed 50 in number." This is a reduction by over 50%, and as stated in Section 1 purpose, and I quote, "These regulations allow for a maximum number of short-term rental permits that are not transferable and gradually reduce over time." So as my understanding goes, immediately an over 50% reduction with the intention to gradually reduce over time. To be completely frank, this feels more like a loophole around a ban and a plan to just phase us out and not the regulatory solution that many of us here tonight were hopeful for. In the section regarding short-term rental standards, Section A, under property requirements, point 3 to be exact, it reads, "There shall be a minimum of 500 feet of separation between the boundaries of properties containing a short-term rental." 500 feet. That is almost 2 football fields. This proposed standard unfairly targets waterfront communities, and it was made abundantly clear that this is a biased request directly targeting Schnackle Drive. My husband and I do our absolute best to be upstanding model citizens. I pay $10,800 in property taxes annually. In addition, this year alone, I have paid over $5,000 in occupancy taxes to the state and to the county. And one thing I will not stand for are lies and exaggerations. This decision needs to be made in facts. I'm not going to sit here and allow people who willingly inserted themselves into a situation posing to help weaponize that against me. So I thank you all for your time tonight. I have the utmost respect for your position, but I have very little envy for it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? We're not going to do any repeats, but does anyone else who have not spoken want to speak to address this issue?
Hi, good evening. George Elert, 159 Rock Beach Road. Thank you for your time. First, I want to express my gratitude and appreciation to Carl Kurtz. Somebody who forgoes profit from his short-term rentals in the interest of his community, to me that's a model citizen. And that's exactly how I feel about short-term rentals. I recently went door to door in my direct neighborhood. You know, we heard from other speakers, they want facts, not just opinions. So I asked 31 people in my direct neighborhood how they felt about this not owner-occupied short-term rental. The owner lives out of state. The management company is 30 miles away. They have a local contact. They have noise monitoring. And 1 out of the 31 neighbors that I spoke to was indifferent about the short-term rental. He lives 8 houses away. 30 out of 31 feel like their welfare has been, their peace and quiet has been affected by the short-term rental. And they do it with passion and with conviction and with pain in their voice to say, here's one party that economically benefits from the peace and quiet in our neighborhood. That person disrupts it, economically benefits from that, and we all pay for that. So I'm asking you, not everybody is like Mr. Kurtz. Put some rules in place that help us support the right model. There are good guests and bad guests. There's good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. There are good hosts and bad hosts. Why don't you try really hard to screen out the good hosts? Why don't you start with owner-occupied hosts first and see how many slots we can fill of the 50? Then maybe the second tier is people, like we heard, that have a property right across the street in very close proximity. But really set the table to disadvantage the people that only try to reap the benefit economically from our neighborhoods. Several of you commented that your duty is to your community. You have been elected by your constituents who live in Irondequoit. Work on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you. If there's no one else that wishes to speak that haven't spoken before,
Before you close the public hearing,
okay.
the clerk's office has received several emails. They all have been delivered to the board members, so if you sent an email to the town clerk email address, the board members have your letters.
And I know in my case, I've read them.
Agreed, we're all reading.
Okay. My name is Phil Deary. I live at 664 Eaton Road. I've been here for 7 years now. I own my own home. I've changed my mind about 20 times tonight listening to everybody. I figured I'd try to give everybody a fair shake on their positions. My position initially is, as a homeowner, I don't really want to impinge on somebody else who also is a homeowner who has decided to rent their house out. We talk about long-term rentals, we accept that. We now talk about, in the last 20 years, short-term rentals. And with all the buzz that's going around in all the cities across the country, all the various people that are involved in short-term rentals, the hosts, the people that pervade that, everything gets screwed up. And I feel what's happening right now is we're all talking the same language. If we're a homeowner, we should have the right to rent out our house. But within certain boundaries, we just can't arbitrarily say, I'm going to rent my house out to anybody for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it might be. We've got to have some regulations in place. And I believe strongly about that. I made a note here initially, and I said that we should recognize that the foundation of any concept of a community and a neighborhood has to be homeowners, not house renters. That's a key concept. Now, as far as time goes, we put a limit on 28 days max. Okay, whatever you want to put on that, that's fine. But we don't have something that's legitimately recognizing the guys that sell or the people that's to rent 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. And you've got a constant flow of traffic, you get a constant flow of cars, a constant flow of new people in and out all the time. That's not a community, that's not a neighborhood, that's frankly a hotel, and it's constantly moving. We really have to safeguard against something like that. I am right across the street right now from a wonderful family, a foster home, taking in probably 7 or 8 kids. They're leaving in September. They're gone. The people that own that house across from me is an LLC. The main general partner, if that's what you call them, for the LLC lives in Albany, New York. This thing was set up just for money-making purposes. They own probably 20 of them at this point, but they own the one across the street from my house. What are they going to do in September when it comes time to, and the guy has, one of the partners that lives in Rochester had said to me point blank 2 years ago, we love it. We will rent this thing out for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. We don't care. It's a money-making proposition. I can't take that, and I won't take it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? Thank you. And with that, may I have a motion to close the public hearing? I'm sorry, I forgot discussion. Any discussion with board members?
I mean, the only thing I'd like to say is we're taking everything everyone said under consideration, trying to create some balance. I guess I would agree with the public. We probably haven't got quite to the point where balance is achieved, but we're working to that. We're hearing what people are saying, and we will have another revised version of this out in some way, shape, or form for the next workshop, as far as I'm concerned.
So I would suggest you keep the public hearing open through the next regular meeting, which is September 16th, 2025. And you could hear any additional comments because there will be a new version that's issued before then. You can hear additional comments directed at that new version, and then hopefully you'll be able to close the public hearing that night. And if you're satisfied with the draft at that point, you could, vote on a resolution whether or not to adopt it. But I would keep the public hearing open.
Correct, I misspoke earlier. All right, may I have a motion to continue, keep the public hearing open? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion passed to keep the public hearing open.
I would add to that, though, that it's at least through, the expectation is that you would be talking about it and allowing further comment on September 16th.
Yeah, I was going to get that.
I just want to make sure that that's
Yep.
clear.
It will keep open until September 16th. If you have any additional comments, any additional information you want the board to have, please send it to the town clerk or to supervisor@arundecoit.gov or to any of the board members sitting here. Okay, Madam Clerk, we go back to the regular schedule. I think we have one more resolution.
Yes, item number 8, approving the special event license for Fleet Feet Yellow Jacket Racing Rochester Half Marathon and 5K Run.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
So this is the annual annual event for Yellow Jacket and Fleet Feet. It's to be held September 21st. All the approvals are in, including insurance.
Excuse me, Mr. Evans, could you just ask people, remind people that we're still holding a meeting? And the conversations out in the hallway, it's actually.
Chief of Staff, can you? Thank you.
Thank you.
Please continue. Thank you.
So we have all the approvals, including insurance.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, am I in the right spot?
I think so. Aye.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. Are any other resolutions, Madam Clerk?
Not at this time.
This concludes our regular town board meeting for August 19th, 2025. Our next workshop meeting is September 8th at 4 p.m. Regular town board meeting September 16th at 7 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
May I have a second? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.